Before it became a cultural religion, Star Wars, A New Hope was just a mad experiment, a gamble no one believed in. What looked like a space fantasy on paper became a full-scale war against Hollywood tradition. Broken cameras, quitting crews, studio executives who laughed it off, and one young filmmaker stubborn enough to fight every obstacle. What rose from that chaos wasn't just a movie, it was a revolution that reshaped cinema itself. But behind the lightsabers and hero's journey lies a darker story, one of exhaustion, luck, and pure defiance. This is the hidden history. Let's dive into 20 shocking truths about Star Wars, A New Hope that will forever change how you see the galaxy far, far away. And stay till the end. George Lucas expected it to fail. Lucas didn't walk into Star Wars thinking he'd make history. He expected humiliation. On premiere night, he skipped the screening and escaped to Hawaii with Steven Spielberg, convinced the film would tank. He'd already been burned by studios before, and the chaotic shoot had drained him completely. Even his cast joked that the dialogue was impossible to deliver. But when he returned, the impossible had happened. Sold-out theaters, lines around the block, and a film that changed storytelling forever. He missed his own revolution. The studio starved the project. 20th Century Fox didn't see magic. They saw a cheap sci-fi flick. They slashed the budget to a meager $11 million. So Lucas traded his higher salary for merchandising rights, which executives thought were worthless. Forced to innovate, the team built worlds out of miniatures, mirrors, and matte paintings. And that worthless deal? It turned Lucas into a billionaire. Fox tried to save money and accidentally built an empire. Tunisia almost buried the production. Tatooine's blazing heat wasn't cinematic exaggeration. It was survival hell. Sandstorms destroyed sets, cameras jammed, and cast members got sick. Anthony Daniels bled daily inside his C-3PO suit, while R2-D2 constantly overheated. Then, on day one, the Sahara decided to rain, ruining everything. Nature itself seemed determined to cancel Star Wars before it began. Peter Cushing filmed in slippers. Grand Moff Tarkin looked ruthless on screen, but off-camera, his feet were wrapped in comfort. The leather boots were agony, so Peter Cushing wore fuzzy slippers instead. Most of his shots were framed waist up to hide them. The Empire may have ruled the galaxy, but it marched on soft soles. Alec Guinness despised it. To the world, he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. To himself, Alec Guinness saw Star Wars as childish nonsense. He called the dialogue rubbish, yet took a small share of profits that made him richer than any Shakespeare play ever did. He even scolded a young fan once, telling him to never watch it again. He wasn't angry at fame, he was haunted by it. The opening crawl was filmed by hand. That iconic yellow crawl, the heartbeat of every Star Wars movie, wasn't digital magic. It was a physical camera pass over 6 feet of printed text. Every lighting mistake meant starting from zero. Hours for seconds of footage. What began as an homage to Flash Gordon became one of cinema's most legendary openings, made with cardboard, glass, and determination. Harrison Ford became Han by accident. Ford wasn't even auditioning. He was fixing doors. As a carpenter helping build the casting office, he was asked to read lines to help other actors. His natural, effortless delivery made Lucas stop mid-audition. Han Solo wasn't written. He was found. A carpenter turned rogue pilot. Hollywood couldn't script irony better. Chewbacca nearly got shot. In California's redwoods, Peter Mayhew's towering frame and furry suit looked a bit too real. Hunters mistook him for Bigfoot. The studio had to assign armed escorts to keep him safe. Chewie didn't fear stormtroopers. He feared hunters with rifles. The first cut was a disaster. Before the music, before the magic. The first version of Star Wars was nearly unwatchable. Scenes dragged. The tone was broken. Then came Marcia Lucas, George's wife and editor, who rebuilt the story from the ground up. She cut it for emotion, tension, and rhythm. Without her, the Force may never have flowed at all. Lightsaber sounds were an accident. That unforgettable hum, it wasn't engineered, it was discovered. Sound designer Ben Burt noticed interference when a microphone passed near a TV set, mixed it with an old projector motor, and the saber was born. The sound of a Jedi's weapon came from static and happy accidents. The trash compactor was truly disgusting. The stench was real. The trash wasn't fake. Lucas demanded realism, so they filled the compactor pit with old garbage and stagnant water. Actors got sick, and Mark Hamill even developed an infection after swallowing some of it. The scene was supposed to be chaotic. It became biological warfare. 12. Stormtrooper armor was a torture device. Those shiny white suits, pure misery. Actors couldn't sit, breathe, or see properly. Many fainted from the heat. One famously hit his head on a door, and Lucas kept it in. On set, they were called plastic coffins. Perfection on screen, punishment often. 13. Darth Vader's voice wasn't credited. David Prowse wore the suit, but James Earl Jones gave Vader his soul. In the credits, though, no mention. Jones requested anonymity, thinking his role was small. But that booming voice became eternal. Proof that sometimes anonymity echoes louder than fame. 14. Carrie Fisher was forbidden to wear a bra. Lucas had a rule: no underwear in space. Carrie Fisher had to tape herself under the white gown for every scene. She joked that Lucas believed bras would strangle you in zero gravity. It wasn't science. It was pure sci-fiction discomfort. 15. The cantina scene was made in panic. The iconic Mos Eisley Cantina was chaos in disguise. With only days to prepare, artists stitched together masks, borrowed old costumes, and filmed in dark corners to hide unfinished aliens. One creature head came straight from a Halloween shop. A world of imagination, built out of desperation. 16. R2-D2 was a personal sauna. Inside that tiny droid was actor Kenny Baker, trapped with almost no air. The crew often forgot he was inside during breaks, leaving him locked and roasting in the Tunisian heat. He later said it was like sweating inside a tin coffin. R2 wasn't just loyal, he was suffering. 17. Fox tried to bury the release. Executives had no faith in Star Wars. They forced theaters to screen it only if they also played their prestige film, The Other Side of Midnight. Then history laughed. Star Wars obliterated it at the box office. What they tried to bury ended up saving their careers. 18. The Force was a placeholder. Originally, the Force was just filler dialogue. Lucas hadn't defined it. It was a vague spiritual term. But when Alec Guinness delivered those lines with reverence, something clicked. Then John Williams' music turned the concept into myth. A placeholder became a philosophy. 19. Lucas ended up in the hospital. The stress of Star Wars pushed George Lucas to the brink. After months of editing and fighting studio deadlines, he collapsed with chest pains. Doctors warned him to stop before his body did. He had created a universe, but it almost consumed him. 20. Star Wars saved 20th Century Fox. Before release, Fox was bleeding money and preparing layoffs. After Star Wars, their profits exploded. Executives who mocked Lucas now claimed credit for genius. The film didn't just make money, it resurrected a studio. Before Star Wars, there was The Adventures of Luke Starkiller from the Journal of the Whills. Han Solo was a green alien. The Force barely existed. Lucas trimmed and rewrote until it became the legend we know. One final cut transformed chaos into destiny. Ultra. Star Wars. A New Hope wasn't born from confidence. It was forged in uncertainty. Broken sets. Sleepless nights. Doubt at every corner. Yet somehow, one man's impossible dream built an immortal galaxy. So if your path feels impossible, remember, even legends begin as disasters. Like, subscribe, and may the Force and the filmmaking madness be with you.